Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. It's a feeling now. Get 'em high, get 'em low. 'Cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got. 'Cause we're ready.
Welcome to Monday's edition of Riders at the Grey Cup. It's an unofficial title. It's a working title. We'll work on it. There's got to be something.
And by the time we figure something out, Grey Cup will be done, and we'll worry about it next year.
Yeah, exactly. We got lots of time to figure out next year's name for this. My voice is still shot from Saturday night. Like I'm struggling. It's
I think there's about 30,000 people right there with you there, Alex.
oh, it's rough. I don't know what it is. I guess I was yelling really, really loud.
Weren't we all?
Yes. So this week, as we prepare for the Riders in the Grey Cup against Montreal and Winnipeg, every day we're going to be posting some content and just looking at this game, different angles for this game. And today we're going to look at the Montreal Alouettes, specifically Davis Alexander. So coming up later this week, we're going to have replacement Steve. Jeff Fairholm's going to join us for a bit of a game preview, but also I want to jump into the mentality of what a team needs to get into for a Grey Cup game. He's obviously a Grey Cup champion. He knows exactly what it takes to lock in and focus on a Grey Cup. So I want to get that kind of perspective from him as well. Former voice of the Riders, voice of the Bombers. Right now, Derek Taylor is going to join us on the show on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to that. Bring us the vibe from Winnipeg and
On the mothership, on the actual, on the full show.
Yes, yeah, he'll be great. I'm looking forward to that. DT's always the best. Can't really talk that much smack about the Riders this time, like he did for the dunk tank a couple years ago. So,
oh man, him going down into the water and continuing up whatever he was saying every time he popped up, that was brilliant.
But also the fact that he was just like trash talking with math, like he was just hammering the Riders via stats and algorithms.
Oh, it was awesome.
It was amazing to watch.
So plenty of that stuff coming up throughout the week. We'll keep everybody updated on what we hear and see from practice, all that kind of stuff, and then gearing up towards Sunday's big game. So the Riders just landing in Winnipeg now. The send away at Mosaic Stadium happened earlier. Lots of fans out there cheering them on as they hit the planes, hit the buses to go to the plane. But let's look at the Montreal Alouettes and Davis Alexander. So Davis Alexander is a guy that the Riders don't have a lot of experience with. Both games this year, McLeod Bethel Thompson was the quarterback for the Alouettes in those games. We got to go back to last year, August 16th, 2024. Davis Alexander came in to the game. It was Caleb Evans starting that game, and he was awful. And Davis Alexander came in and changed the whole game and the dynamic of the Eastern Division around, basically with that showing against the Riders. So it was Montreal won that game 27-24 thanks to Davis Alexander stepping out of bounds and them allowing him to stay in bounds, calling it that way, letting him get a touchdown. That was
typical Rough Rider football, making a third string quarterback look good.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like it must be in the CFLPA that a third string quarterback gets their career started by the Riders, because if it wasn't for that game, who knows how his trajectory would have been. Eventually you thought he'd work his way up, but after this, the following week, he was starting in Hamilton.
We make Hall of Famers here.
Death, taxes, and third string quarterbacks going off. That's three of life's great guarantees.
So that game, Davis Alexander comes into the game, throws for 178 yards, 2 touchdowns, has another 33 yards rushing and a touchdown, which is kind of the epitome of what Davis Alexander is. Very good quarterback in the pocket, but quite dangerous when he can run around. And to me, that's the big thing. Like, I know you can look at film on him this year. You can go back to that game. But really, against this defense, we've only seen him in that one game, and still a complete unknown because it's not like they were preparing for this backup quarterback at the time, right? So I go back to that game, and I just see, okay, got to keep him in the pocket. I think to me that's the big thing. And then I remember, well, yeah, he has a bit of a limp right now. He has that hamstring injury, which flared back up in the East final against Hamilton. And when he got to the airport in Winnipeg today, he was limping a little bit. They're saying he's going to start. He's going to play. They're going to work their best to make sure he's as good as possible to go. So that tells me he's definitely not even close to 100%. So maybe this is a guy you want to try to get moving around. Normally, you don't want quarterbacks running around on you and using their legs to beat you, but maybe this is one of those games where you wouldn't mind him, trying to make that play outside, because not that you're wanting an injury or anything, but if he's not able to move all that well, you can get to him.
Well, the good news is we just played Nathan Rourke, who is a more disciplined Alexander, or Alexander's a more chaotic Nathan Rourke. I don't know how you want to define it. They play similar games. They both have really good arms. They both play the pocket fairly decently. I would say Rourke is probably, like I said, more disciplined in the pocket than Alexander is. But yeah, they can also make moves with their legs. Yeah, if I'm the Riders this week, as much as the playbook is probably keep him in the pocket, I would make him test that leg. I would try to get him to roll out, especially towards that hurt leg, make him pivot on it, make him plant it, and you're going to slow him down that way.
Kind of took everything I was, excuse me, I was planning on saying on that one. It's, you go back to, what's that? Yeah, still on Saturday. But you basically go back to everything I said about Nathan Rourke, and that's how you beat a Davis Alexander, is you force him to throw while uncomfortable. Because if you let him get outside the pocket and make things happen, give him time, he has shown the ability to pick defenses apart in his young career. I still worry about his ability to run until his first run. If he pulls up limp in any way, that worry will disappear. But until then, you have to game plan as if he's at 100% and scale it back from there. So the key to beating him is force him to play in the pocket and go after Stevie Scott. You stop James Butler this week, you stop Stevie Scott in the Grey Cup, and you're gold.
Well, Stevie Scott had the one game against us this year, ran for 125 yards on 19 carries. That was the September 13th game. That game, Alouettes won 48-31. That was the Tyson Philpott game, or the Kerfalla Exume game.
Exume game. Let's be honest. That was the Exume game. That's not even a Philpott game.
Philpott torching the Riders, 238 and 2 touchdowns in that one.
I don't think we're going to have to worry about that again on
I'd
Sunday.
like to think not. That said, Tyson Philpott's unbelievable. Their receiving group is very, very, very good. They have guys that can put up video game numbers, right? Stevie Scott had 125 yards. Tyson Philpott had 238. Rambo's had good games against us. Cole Speaker can sneak up.
Sneed, Matt.
Sneed, Matt, yeah. They're a very deep receiver group. So that zone defense, we've talked about it for 2 years now. This is the time where it's really got to just be really tightened up. So I go to this game, this September 13th game where the Owls beat us here in Regina. Stevie Scott having 125 yards. Does that kind of worry you? Does that game worry you guys a little bit at all about, the potential for this Grey Cup?
No, because if like you said, that was the Kerfalla Exume game. We had so many defensive players out, especially in that secondary. It was overcorrection. It was not playing to their right spots. It was a bunch of defensive breakdown after defensive breakdown. I'm I'm thinking this week going in, obviously they're going to be on lockdown. They're going to, like I said, we're basically playing a more chaotic Lions team this week. So I think the Riders are going to have the right game plan in motion here.
This is a running defense that has stopped some pretty big names all season long. I don't think they go into the game scared of Stevie Scott. I think they game plan to stop him, especially if there's any concern that Davis Alexander isn't 100%. But I think this defensive line, especially when healthy, and if we maybe get Shane Ray back, not that Baldonado did anything wrong.
That's not happening.
No.
Let me hold out that little bit of hope that we get everybody back for the Grey Cup. I'll take Keyshawn
my
Johnson,
unsung hero for the year, Habakkuk Baldonado. I went back to look at all of our predictions this year. I'm like, hey, I got that one right.
I was pretty close on the AJ Ouellette leading the league in rushing, but no, Stevie Scott's a guy you game plan for if there's that concern about Alexander's injury, because you stop him and you're effectively booking your rally tickets to the Grey Cup parade on Monday. To me, that's the biggest key.
So these two games we've had against Montreal this year, we won 34-6 in Montreal. Absolutely dominated. It was the defensive line really getting after MBT in that game. They had they only had 2 interceptions, but they were all over the place. Because it was against MBT, both games this year, do you make much out of anything like these two matchups that we saw from them? Do they really mean anything?
It shows you what a healthy team on the Rough Riders looks like versus a team where they're just literally, okay, one more guy goes down and we're calling the guy from third row in Pill Country to play defensive back, because that's where they were at that second game. They just could not overcome the training room. So I think this week going in, everyone's banged up. It's football. This is what happens when you get to play a football. You're playing like 80% or better at this point. So I'm thinking I don't think you can compare those two games. And yes, they weren't with Davis Alexander, but like I said, we just played the Lions, and the Alouettes and the Lions do a lot of similar things.
Honestly, if I'm Coach Mace or anybody in that coaching room, I'm not even looking back at that game film from September. There's nothing there that they need to watch to learn from. Both teams have changed so much. The Riders have gotten healthier than any other team in the league right now, compared to where they were in September. Like, look back, Greg's right. That was a shell of the team that we saw. And I just do the ding. It's fine. But he's right. They were barely hanging on. Meanwhile, you look at the team that Montreal is without Davis Alexander. They were 3-7, 3-8,
Yeah.
and then 9-0 with them. Like that tells you everything about where they're at. And if Davis Alexander, again, I keep coming back to this, if he's not 100%, to me, they're playing more on that 3-8.
So I want to throw a couple constants at you guys from these 3 games, the 2 games this year against Montreal, and then the Davis Alexander Montreal game last year. And this is good news for the Riders. AJ Ouellette in those 3 games, 74, 90, and 77 yards rushing. Pretty solid games. Dante Myers in those games, 8 catches for 101 yards, 7 for 89 and a touchdown, 5 for 136. Dante Myers has shown in these last 3 games we've had against Montreal over the last 2 years, can exploit that Noel Thorpe defense. That's a big play guy. We've seen it obviously all season long, but I wonder if that's the key. This is a guy who's absolutely ripped them apart in those 3 games. And obviously, with the passing on there, sorry, just to finish that thought, Trevor Harris, 289 and 2 touchdowns. He had 252 and a touchdown. Mayer had 118 and a touchdown. That was more in garbage time in that loss earlier this year. But last year, 355 and 2 touchdowns for Harris. So they can move the ball on this defense.
When you're highlighting a guy like Dante Myers and showing his numbers against Montreal, you can effectively do that against any team the way he's been since he started with Saskatchewan. He's been fairly consistent. What was his? Was it 14 or 1600 yards if you paced out his numbers last season? And he's basically doing it again this year. I do think him and Keyshawn Johnson, if he's healthy, are absolutely the key. Those are two guys that can change the game in an instant. And then you add in now a healthy KSB that we haven't had against Montreal. And I'd put our receiving core up against theirs and our offense up against theirs any day of the week and twice on Sundays. Hopefully this Sunday.
Like, and don't get me wrong, they've got a solid defense in there, but their strength of their defense is their defensive line and their linebacking core. I'm not saying Sutton or Dequoy are soft by any means. Like Dequoy is a hell of a safety, and Sutton can turn the ball over. But I would take our DBs against their DBs any day. So I think that's why you're going to be able to exploit that. If you can get that run game going, moving up those linebackers, moving up Sankey and Beverett closer to the line of scrimmage, you're going to get that open area where guys like Myers will be able to exploit it.
And that's why it'll be good to get AJ Ouellette going early in this game. Even if he's not getting very many yards, we saw chunky yardage against BC in the West Final, but you just got to show the constant. We're going to pound the ball. We're going to run the ball and bring those linebackers closer so that you do have Myers open in the middle on the slant patterns or posts or whatever he's going to be running to make those big plays. So we haven't seen a ton of play action per se from the Mark Mueller offense, but this would be the game I'd love to see more of it. Set up the run, then hit that play action. So
we hit them with something they aren't expecting. RPO with Trevor Harris. They will never see that coming.
No, because Glenn Suter will call it the ride and decide, and I hate that. But the Riders have been able to generate pressure from their D-line against Montreal. They had they didn't have any in the second game this year, that September game, but they had 2 sacks in the first one, got way more pressure. They had 4 sacks in that game in last season. So I know it's so cliche and so boring to say that it all starts up front in the trenches, but it really does. If that defense, that front 4, can get any kind of constant pressure, then I really, really like our chances, at least defensively, in this game against a very solid offense.
I'm sure we're going to talk about it more when we actually do a full game preview in the episode. The only thing that I'm concerned about is their kicking game is better than ours. And when you got Motos Diaz that can kick 60-yarders, you really need to shorten that field. Like, you got to keep them deep at all time.
It's not a good thing when
and score touchdowns when you can. Like, you can't make this a field goal battle at all.
It's not a good thing when basically every drive starts in field goal range for Montreal. He's a hell of a kicker. I'd put him up against any other kicker in the league, and I'd be giving Montreal the edge.
So I look at these couple games. I look at the September 13th game, and I'm going to keep bringing that one up for one reason. I don't make anything of that game at all because that was right after the Banjo Bowl. You look at the 3 games that the Riders played previously, not even counting the injuries that they had in that group of games. You had the smoke game against Calgary. That was the game in Calgary in August.
Yep.
Then you had Labor Day, and then the Banjo Bowl. Those were 3 very physical, emotionally draining games, especially those 2 against Winnipeg and winning in the Banjo Bowl, which we hadn't done in 7 years, 6 games.
Way too long.
Yeah. Since 2018.
Our first bus.
And it was right before the bye week as well, too. So I think it's an Eastern opponent. Doesn't mean as much. I put that in quotes. Still means 2 points in the standings, but if there's a game you can afford to kind of check out of, that's probably the game. And I feel they kind of did that. Not that that's what this team does, but you could tell that they were physically and mentally exhausted from those last stretch of games, and were just trying to get to the bye week and start getting bodies healthy. So that game where they lost 48-31, I'm not worried about that. Steve, like you said, I'm not even watching game film on that one. I mean, obviously you are, but I'm not going too in depth with it because you're not going to be playing Kerfala Exume.
I was going to say, the only thing you need to learn is Kerfala Exume is not playing defensive back. That's all you need to know.
I mean, that's probably 200 yards right there. So I don't worry about that. But also, I'm not making a lot of that 34-6 win in Montreal. I think that was right before Montreal had the bye as well, too. I'd have to go back and look at the schedule, but I think they were right around that bye week anyway. And backup quarterback, and they just, I mean, completely different team, right? So
No, 100%.
you can't really. I want to say, from what we've seen these two games against Montreal, you can build that up towards this game, and you can kind of start thinking, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to do this or what. I have no idea what to expect with how they match up because we haven't seen it with what these two teams being at full strength. So that's what's kind of the exciting part to me about this is the complete unknown. Yeah, Stevie Scott had a great game in the one game, but they had no run game in August against us.
Yep.
So what is it?
We need to go in there and blow the doors off them. I don't want this to be close.
Another 2013?
Yeah, I don't want a close game. That's all I know. I know this is Rough Riders football, and this is the way it's going to be. But just prove me wrong once. Just prove me wrong.
There's two ways this game goes, and both of them are not good in our hearts. It's either a Montreal blowout or the Riders win in a squeaky fashion. That's just how Rider football has been as long as we've been alive, and it'll be how Rider football is long after we're gone. That's much like the third quarterback stretch. That's just what we do. But I've said it a few times. If both teams play to their potential, this is the Riders win, and I don't think it's particularly close.
We'll look at this game a lot closer in the during the show on Tuesday when we record with DT Derek Taylor, and then later on in the week once we start getting kind of practice reports and maybe we see Keyshawn Johnson getting some reps. Who knows? So we'll keep updating that. We'll keep doing more stuff. We got Jeff Fairholm coming up this week. Derek Taylor on the show. Working on another guest right now. I won't hint at who, but I'm hoping I can land one more here for later in the week. But it's going to be. I think it's going to be a good week in Riderville. I think it's going to be a good week. Spoiler alert. That's who I'm picking in Piffles Picks this week.
Ooh, gee, I wonder who I'm taking.
I'm going to go with the coin. I'm not messing with what's got us here.
I mean, you were 0 for 2 last week. That worked out pretty well.
That's fine. I'm good with that.
But we'll look at the game a little bit closer throughout the week. So stay tuned to the Piffles podcast for doing that. And thanks for joining us here this week or tonight on Monday for the live show. I'm hoping I can get some sort of voice back for later in the week. This is rough.
Good luck.
Thank you. But it's I think it's going to be a really good game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. I really don't. As much as I'd like to, put my feet up in the second half and just not stress away, I think there's going to be some stress in this game. It's going to be a very good team that we're playing against and a very good game. So looking forward to it. All right, guys. I think we'll leave it there for tonight.
I think so.
All right. Well, we'll be back Tuesday night. We're going to have the full show. So join us for that.
Not
Make
live.
sure
We're not doing that one live.
I mean,
Maybe we should.
maybe we should.
Okay, well, we'll play that one by ear.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys later, and go Riders.
Away
Thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.